How many years do you have left? That question might sound cold. But what if the answer is already showing up? In your daily habits, in your blood, or even in the way you walk? What if your body has been trying to tell you something for years, and you just haven't been listening? Recent studies in longevity and preventive medicine have uncovered a terrifying truth. The early signs that predict whether you'll live another 20 years, or just 5, are not dramatic or obvious. They are subtle, easy to dismiss, but they are always there, and most people miss them until it's too late. These signs aren't about rare diseases or freak accidents. They're about patterns. Daily decisions that either open the door to a longer, stronger life or slowly shut it without us even noticing. In this video, we're going to reveal 6 of the most powerful warning signs that you may be shortening your life without realizing it. Backed by real data, behavioral research, and decades of observation in aging populations, these signs are more accurate than any online quiz or genetic test. You'll meet 2 people, same age, same country, same starting point, but 2 very different outcomes. One of them found out just in time, the other didn't. So here's the truth. If you're over 60 and think you still have time to fix everything later, you may be wrong. These signs are like cracks in a dam. Once they show up, you don't have years to spare, you have months. But if you understand what to look for, if you're willing to be honest and take action now, there's still time to change course. Comment number 1 if you're ready. Let's start with something many people overlook: how you walk. It seems simple. Too simple, maybe. But studies from the National Institute on Aging and other long-term research show that gait speed, the pace at which a person walks, is one of the most accurate predictors of future health, cognitive decline, and even mortality. Not dramatic falls, not hospitalizations, just the slow, quiet erosion of balance and speed. When Frank walks through his neighborhood, there's a quiet rhythm to it. His steps are steady, his stride is confident. He doesn't rush, but he moves with purpose. This is no accident. Frank made walking part of his daily rhythm years ago, not just for fitness, but to stay grounded. He reads studies. He knows that keeping his hips mobile, his posture upright, and his core strong could protect not just his joints, but his mind. Meanwhile, Walter has slowly stopped walking altogether. He tells himself the back pain makes it too hard, but even before the pain, he avoided long walks. He preferred the car or staying in. Over the years, his gait changed without him noticing. A slight shuffle, a stiffness in the knees, less arm swing. Now, when he does walk, it's slow, unsure. His eyes scan the ground constantly, afraid of tripping. What Walter doesn't realize is that his brain is already responding to this insecurity. Neural circuits responsible for coordination and balance are starting to fade from disuse. His muscles weaken not just from age, but from silence, from not being called into action. One major study published in JAMA showed that individuals over 65 who walk more than 1 meter per second live significantly longer than those who walk slower. And this isn't about athleticism. It's about resilience, how your body responds to challenge. So here's the takeaway. Walk like your life depends on it, because it might. Now, moving to the second factor that silently affects longevity, emotional isolation. It's not about how many friends you have on paper. It's about connection. Real face-to-face connection that engages your nervous system, your hormones, your immune response. Loneliness isn't just a feeling. It's a biological warning light. The same kind of stress response that flares up in times of danger gets activated when you go days or weeks without meaningful interaction, and the consequences are staggering. Research from Brigham Young University found that chronic social isolation increases the risk of early death by up to 50%, more than smoking or obesity. Frank felt this after his wife passed. The silence in the house was heavy at tea. First, he retreated into himself. But within a few weeks, he made a choice. He didn't feel ready, but he showed up at the senior center, at the local church, in the book club he used to skip. Each small interaction added up. Each connection pulled him back toward life, not just emotionally, biologically. He didn't know it at the time, but those conversations were lowering his cortisol, restoring immune balance, strengthening his heart, even improving memory retention. Walter's story went the other way. When his oldest friend passed, he pulled away. He told himself it was safer that way. He stopped answering calls, didn't return messages. He watched the news more, but stopped talking back to the screen. The house got quieter, and so did his body. His appetite changed. His sleep got worse. Small health issues took longer to heal. He began to forget things, not from dementia, but from disconnection. The brain, like a muscle, atrophies without stimulation. Social withdrawal doesn't announce itself with a headline. It slips in quietly, but it leaves deep marks. The good news is, like a muscle, it can be rebuilt. Call someone, invite someone, show up, even if it feels awkward, especially if it does. Another habit that often gets ignored is the quiet war happening inside your body, chronic inflammation. This isn't the kind of inflammation you notice with a cut or a bruise. It's deeper, hidden, and constant. A slow, smoldering fire that damages cells, stiffens arteries, and accelerates aging from the inside out. Frank doesn't follow any strict diet. He's not vegan, paleo, or anything with a label. But over the years, he learned to pay attention. He noticed how certain meals left him bloated or tired, how too much sugar clouded his focus. So he began adjusting. Less packaged food, more fresh ingredients. He adds turmeric to his tea, keeps his blood sugar stable by spacing out his meals and avoiding late-night eating. He reads food labels, not obsessively, but carefully, because he knows that what enters his mouth becomes the chemistry of his blood within minutes. Walter eats what's fast, familiar, and cheap. Frozen meals. White bread, soda. He doesn't notice the fatigue after lunch anymore. It feels normal now. He blames his aches on age. He doesn't realize that the constant joint pain, the weight gain around the belly, the mild depression, are all symptoms of chronic inflammation. In a groundbreaking study published in The Lancet, researchers found that low-grade inflammation, measured by markers like C-reactive protein, was a stronger predictor of cardiovascular disease than cholesterol levels. Let that sink in. The invisible fire is more dangerous than the fat in your blood. Walter's blood work shows it. Elevated CRP, high insulin, signs his body is under attack, not from the outside, but from what he's feeding it. The sad part?
He doesn't even feel sick, not yet, but the damage is accumulating day by day.
The message is clear. Pay attention to how food makes you feel, not just in your stomach, but in your mood, your energy, your sleep. Inflammation doesn't scream, it whispers until it doesn't. Here's the fourth behavior that slowly undermines your health: neglecting the quality of your sleep. Most people focus on how long they sleep, but in the world of aging and longevity, how well you sleep is far more important. Fragmented, shallow sleep silently rewires your brain, weakens your immune defenses, and leaves your heart more vulnerable. Frank made sleep a sacred part of his routine. No screens after 8 o'clock in the evening. A dark, cool bedroom. Gentle music or a book to wind down. He goes to bed at nearly the same time each night, and when he wakes up, he feels restored. He didn't always sleep this way. In his 50s, he struggled, waking often, tossing and turning. But he learned something most people never do, that deep sleep isn't luck, it's preparation. It's built by what you do during the day, sunlight exposure, meal timing, stress levels, and what you avoid at night. Walter, on the other hand, insists he's just a bad sleeper. He stays up watching television with the volume too high, dozes off in the recliner, then wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning unable to breathe through his nose. Sometimes he falls back asleep. Other times, he gets up and snacks in the dark. He wakes up tired, foggy, and agitated, and blames it on aging. What he doesn't realize is that his shallow sleep is disrupting key hormonal processes. His brain isn't clearing amyloid plaques. His cortisol stays elevated. His blood pressure, already borderline, climbs higher each night. One study from the University of California, Berkeley, showed that just one night of fragmented sleep in older adults leads to increased beta amyloid accumulation, a key marker in Alzheimer's disease. That's just one night. Now imagine years. Frank's sleep gives him strength. Walter steals it. The difference? One chose to listen to his body. The other just gave up. As we move forward, there's a fifth pattern that deserves attention, ignoring the body's subtle distress signals. Not every warning sign comes with pain. Sometimes it's something small. Feeling winded after climbing stairs. Swelling in the ankles that wasn't there last month. Fatigue that lingers long after a meal. Most people brush these off. It's just aging, they say. But these aren't just signs of getting older. They're signs your organs, especially your heart, liver, or kidneys, are working harder than they should. Frank pays attention to the little things. When he felt unusually tired after dinner one evening, he didn't ignore it. He tracked his meals, noted when it happened again, and brought it up at his next checkup. Turned out, he had early signs of insulin resistance. Because he caught it early, small changes made a big impact. He adjusted his meal times, added more fiber, and began walking after meals. His energy came back. His blood work improved. Crisis. Avoided. Walter, though, has grown used to discomfort. He shrugs off swelling in his legs, thinks nothing of having to catch his breath after a short walk. His doctor once mentioned borderline heart function, but Walter didn't follow up. "They always say that," he muttered. What Walter doesn't realize is that the human body whispers before it screams. By the time symptoms feel urgent, like chest pain or sudden fatigue, the damage is already well underway. In a study published in Circulation, researchers found that nearly 70% of heart failure cases in older adults were preceded by years of subtle signs, often missed. Because patients never reported them, Frank speaks up. Walter stays silent. That's the line between prevention and emergency. Finally, there's one last habit that might surprise you: losing your sense of purpose after retirement. The shift happens quietly. One day, your calendar is full. Meetings, responsibilities, goals. Then it's not. At first, the freedom feels good. No alarm clocks, no pressure. But over time, that freedom can become a void. Without structure, the body drifts. The mind dulls. Hormones that once responded to engagement and urgency begin to slow. cortisol patterns flatten. Dopamine, your motivation chemical, declines. And without purpose, even the healthiest routines start to unravel. Frank saw it coming. He prepared for retirement like someone preparing for a new job. He didn't just want hobbies, he wanted meaning. He signed up to teach part-time at the community college, started mentoring a younger neighbor who loved science. Every Monday he wakes up with a plan. Every Friday he checks his journal to see what he accomplished. Not because he has to, but because it reminds him that he's still building something. Walter, by contrast, retired early and told everyone he couldn't wait to do absolutely nothing. And that's exactly what happened. The first year was a blur of naps, errands, and endless hours of television. Without realizing it, his days became interchangeable. He forgot what month it was more than once. His sleep worsened. So did his digestion. He gained weight, then lost muscle, then lost interest in almost everything. The tragedy is, Walter still has energy, still has curiosity. But with nothing pulling him forward, his health began pulling him backward. A groundbreaking study from the Rush Memory and Aging Project found that seniors with a strong sense of purpose were more than twice as likely to remain cognitively intact over time, even when brain scans showed physical signs of aging. Purpose isn't just spiritual, it's chemical. It rewires your biology to fight for life. So now we come to the end, but in truth, this may be the beginning. What we've uncovered together isn't just a list of warning signs. It's a mirror. One that reflects the quiet choices made each day, the moments we dismiss, the signals we learn to ignore. Frank and Walter started in the same place, same age, same town, same opportunities. But their lives diverged, slowly, silently, through 6 invisible decisions. Frank walks with purpose. Walter no longer trusts his legs. Frank leans into connection. Walter pulled away from the world. Frank fuels his body with awareness. Walter feeds it out of habit. Frank protects his sleep like it's sacred. Walter treats it like an inconvenience. Frank listens to small symptoms. Walter waits for something serious. Frank wakes each day with a reason. Walter wonders where the time went. But here's what matters most. It's not too late for Walter, and it's not too late for you. Biology is not destiny. The body responds to care, even after years of neglect. The brain rewires, the cells repair, the heart strengthens. If you choose to act, that begins with noticing, with asking hard questions, with shifting one habit at a time. Because no matter how many years you have left, the quality of those years is still up to you. You can't turn back the clock, but you can shape what happens next. So if something in this story stirred you, if you saw a piece of yourself in Frank or in Walter, take a moment now. Comment below what hit you hardest. Click like if you want more people to see this message. Subscribe if you're ready for a journey of strength, clarity, and longevity. And turn on notifications so you never miss what could change your path. Because your story isn't finished yet, and every day is still a choice.